Hit it. Hootie Hoot Productions presents the Sports Deli Podcast, where everyone deserves a seat at the table, where we discuss the intersection between race and sports, mental health, leadership, and equality. And now, whether you're folding laundry, driving, exercising, or cooking, grab your favorite deli sandwich or bagel and your favorite beverage, and let's do this together in the Sports Deli. Auntie, take us away. We're so honored to have our 18th WNBA player or coach on the 17th day of Learn a Foreign Language Month to join us today in the Sports Deli Podcast, where everyone deserves a seat at the table and where we bet on women heavily. Sylvia Crawley, who hails to us from Steubenville, Ohio, which for those of you that don't know, and I was one of them, is south of Cleveland and east of Columbus and closer to Pittsburgh, less than an hour than either of those cities in Ohio. After playing scholastically at Steubenville High School, she went on to play her college ball in Chapel Hill at North Carolina, where as a senior captain, she helped her Tar Heels win a national championship in 1994, where her teammate, Charlotte Smith, hit a game-winning three with 0.7 seconds remaining to give Carolina the 60-59 win, one of the most improbable NCAA championships in history. You can watch the entire game on YouTube, and luckily for the Tar Heels, they had the possession arrow in their favor after the initial shot was missed to tie the game with just over 1 second remaining to set up the game winner. Sylvia was on the right block as her teammates set up an old-fashioned box set play, and when La Tech tripled the screener, that left Charlotte wide open. The inbounds pass was made from the left side under the basket and skipped to the opposite wing where Charlotte drilled it. Sylvia, in case you were wondering, set the screen so that the defender had no chance to close out on Charlotte before she drained the game winner. Can you tell I'm a professional basketball skills trainer? I've been coaching for 30 years. All of that was, of course, incredibly interesting to me, as I just said, as a coach. Interesting, this was the first year in the history of the women's NCAA tournament where there were 64 teams in the field. She was a member of the 96 U.S. women's basketball team that won the gold medal as an alternate, which included the likes of Cheryl Swoops, who we're trying to get on from Auntie, current South Carolina head coach Dawn Staley, Rebecca Lobo, and Lisa Leslie. Sylvia's uniform 00 was retired to the North Carolina Rafters on February 27th, 2000. She went on to play professionally for 12 years, including 4 seasons in the W. She played alongside of Jackie Stiles in Portland, who was also on our podcast, and Jennifer Azzi while in San Antonio, and was in training camp in San Antonio a few years with current Dallas Wings head coach Vicki Johnson. She was a college and WNBA coach for 20 years, shares a birthday with Lil Wayne and Steve Kerr, and was born the same year as Mia Hamm, Michael Chang, and Shaq. She has her own business now that we'll talk about later, where I got some holiday stuff for my family from Crawley Creations. You can find her on Instagram at Crawley Creation, on Etsy at etsy.com/shop/Crawley's Creation, and also on Instagram at Monarch Magazine, where she is the co-founder. Man, truly an honor. We finally got to do this, and welcome to the Sports Deli, where everyone, especially women, deserve a seat at the table. Hey.
Trying to get the lunch out my teeth. It's been a crazy day so far, but
well, it couldn't have been crazier than it was last month.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I learned a lot just from hearing you read my bio. Lil Wayne is my birthday twin. Who knew?
Hey, yeah, who knew? So listen, I want to talk about your national championship run first here in this first part of the podcast. And it was just an incredible shot. And so I want you to take us through the entire experience and the season as a whole, and just what a remarkable season it was. But first, talk about the entire lead up to that game-winning shot against La Tech in 1994.
And we actually ran that play several times during that game.
Right.
And it did not work, actually, because they switched all screens, yes. Right? So when we tied up the ball, Coach first called a play for me. We were in a same box set. Most of our out of bounds plays started in the same box set, but we had different numbers to let us know which one we were running, right? Yeah. And so the first one was for me, because I was a senior, right? So coach was like, we got to go with our seniors. Yeah. So Marion Jones was in front of the ball. She was supposed to screen across for me. I was supposed, and I was on the opposite block. I was supposed to back up right in front of the rim. They lob it up. I sometimes could tip it in without my feet touching the ground, right? Yeah. Because there's just a few seconds. There's 0.7 of a second left.
Yeah, right. Unbelievable.
So that's coach's first thought. Let's get the tip in drill because we don't have a lot of time. Yeah. Well, we had a timeout left. So she told Stephanie at the time, Lawrence, her name is Stephanie Lawrence Yelton now, if it's not open, call the timeout. We got another timeout. So we ran a play and they were ready for it. La Tech was ready for it. They crowded me. And it was, they crowded me.
They thought they were ready for it. Yeah, they thought they were ready for it.
Guard. So I felt like throw it up anyways. I'll just jump up over and still tip it in. Well, Stephanie didn't feel 100% comfortable. So she calls timeout. We go back over to the side. So now, and that would have tied the game. And that's all we needed was 2 points to tie. So we go back to the huddle and Coach Hatchell, the coaches wanted her to now go to Tanya Sampson, who's our other senior, right? But La Tech was expecting that. The first one went to me. Then they know like, okay, now they're going to go to their only other senior, Tanya Sampson. Well, Coach Hatchell comes up with this bright idea against the wishes of all her assistants. She said, bump this. We're not going for the tie. We're going for the win. So we're going to run 30s. And here's how we're going to run it. So normally, Marion would set a diagonal screen. Tanya Sampson. Tanya Sampson would go to the block first, and if she didn't get it, out to the 3, right? But because we needed a 3 to win, she went straight to the 3. Now, after that happened, it was Charlotte. Charlotte up screen for Sampson, and then I was supposed to screen at the elbow for Charlotte to come to the block, and then I roll back to the basket.
Right.
But on the last 3 times that we ran it, they switched off screens. I recognize this. So instead of coming up to screen for Charlotte, I screened my own man because my man was supposed to be the one that switched out on Charlotte.
So now you're actually screening 2 people at once.
Yep. If you watch the film, I got 2 people. I'm holding one of their arms. I'm like, you're not going anywhere.
They ain't calling shit in the last 0.7 of a second. That's for damn sure.
So Charlotte, instead of going to the block, she backs out to the 3-point line. Stephanie makes a miracle pass from underneath the basket.
Right. So people that don't know, this isn't an easy pass, right? There's the basket's in the way. So if she didn't back up when she was inbounding the ball to give her a better angle, like she wasn't standing right next to the line. Like you're allowed to go back as far as you want. So she backed up so she had a better angle to throw that skip pass.
Yeah, she's an incredibly high IQ. Our whole team, we watched a lot of film work. So our IQ was, we were students of the game. And we would often make calls that the coaches never really told us to do. We just kind of did it. And so when Charlotte went behind the 3, first of all, when coach called this play, she drew everything up. We came out of the huddle and we had our own huddle, the starting 5. And Charlotte says, what are we doing?
Sports Deli is sponsored by Breaking Tea. You can check them out online at breakingtea.com. They are involved in a new collaboration with the WNBA, and they are real-time, officially licensed products inspired by the greatest moments in sports every day. And now back to this incredible interview right here on the Sports Deli.
We are running 30 for you. What do you mean? Like me? Why me? Now, in this huddle, everybody is like, I'll shoot the shot, coach. You got 4 people who want the ball. That's very rare. There's some people, they want to hide. They don't want the ball in their hands. They don't want to be responsible for losing the game. Right. But we weren't thinking losing was an option. We're thinking like, Stephanie Lawrence felt like, give me the ball, coach. I'll shoot a 3. She's breaking records for 3-point shots. She's our leading 3-point shooter, actually. Tanya Sampson is a Kodak All-American at this time. Get me to rock, coach. I'm like, coach, 20s could have worked if she threw the lob. I think I could make 20s work. They switched with a small guard, right? So we're all like, get me the rock, coach, in our minds. We didn't say this out loud, but we're thinking like, Charlotte was the only one with her head down. She's shaking her leg like, oh gosh, it just can't be over. You know, she's thinking thoughts like that. And coach calls her name. And she didn't even know. So we're in a huddle like, you're shooting the shot. She's like, me? Why me? We're like, I don't know, but you gotta bend your knees, follow through. She had a habit of not doing an aggressive follow through. Lazy. So I always heard what the coaches were telling her when she missed a three. So I was like, make sure you bend your knees, bend your wrists, like aggressive follow through. We're all like massaging her arms, like trying to get her confident, right?
That's classic.
So she's in a daze. We walk out on the court and she's in a daze. And I hear the defense talking. They're saying, make sure we switch. They pointing and I hear them. So I'm like, okay, that's what they did the last 3 times we ran this play and it didn't work. So I scream my own man. Charlotte goes behind the 3. Stephanie makes a miracle pass to her. She bends, she does her little kickstand. She has to take this step first. She bent her knees. And when I tell you, if you could see a picture of the shot, her wrist is literally broken. Like you can't bend your wrist harder than she did. And when I saw her wrist do that, I turned around to get a rebound as if I could actually get a rebound 7/10 of a second, but I was just programmed to go crash the boards on a shot. And Mike, I promise you, when the shot was in the air, it seemed like it took forever. Like it turned and it turned, and I couldn't hear anything in the Richmond Coliseum. I mean, you can hear a pin drop in my mind. There might have been noise, but I couldn't hear anything. When the ball went through the net, it fell in my hands, and then I can hear all the screaming. I'm like, she made this, we won. Like we all just dove on top of her. People cheerleaders were on. I mean, we had a pile so high. People came out the stands. That's when like fans could just come on the court. Security didn't stop them. We all just piled on top of Charlotte. I had one leg bent backwards on the bottom of the pile. I got injured inside that pile.
Oh my God.
But it was an incredible moment. Now, a week later, a newspaper came in. It might have been like Charlotte Observer or something like that, but they wanted us to reenact the shot. It was WRAL actually. They wanted us to reenact the shot, so we redid it. Stephanie, for the life of her, could not make that pass successfully to Charlotte. There's no defense out there.
Unbelievable.
She kept hitting the bottom of the basket.
Right, that's what I was saying. The basket's usually in the way on that skip kind of pass. The other thing that's interesting about that kind of play is when you run a box set from multiple options of a play, it makes it much more difficult for the defense to think that they can scout you or they know what's going on, because case in point, you had a different alternative this time.
Yeah, every play had a bump. Every play had a bump. So if Marion set a screen for me for the lob, we could call 20's bump. And Marion would screen and bump back to the basket, get it and score, because she's cat quick, right?
Yeah.
We could call 30's bump, right? Like there were twists to these plays, and we knew what these twists were. So incredible moment. You know, Charlotte, here's the incredible stat. Charlotte had only made 8 threes in her entire career, right?
Well, in the same way that you didn't hear the crowd for that moment, like both of you were in the zone, right? We call it the zone. Like the Matrix, like everything slows down, you don't hear anything. And it's like, this is what you train your whole life for is, you know, are you going to handle stress a certain way? And man, that is, you talk about synergy, you talk about a collective vibration, you know, veteran leadership, and one of the, if not the most amazing finish in women's NCAA history.
Like in that game, I just remember our record was 33-2.
Right.
The 2 losses helped us win that national championship game, by the way. The 2 losses came to the same team in Virginia. They beat us twice in the regular season. We matched up again with them in the ACC championship. And we felt like if we beat them now, we're going all the way. That was the only adversity we had faced that year, right? And so we were in a zone in a national championship game, but our first zone that we experienced as a team, like there were times where I was personally in the zone, or Charlotte was in the zone. It was her night, or Samson. but there were only a few times in my whole 23 years of playing basketball where a whole team was in a zone. I'm talking like we could be falling down and throw up a shot and it would go in and we crack up laughing going down the court like, what the heck is going on, you know? But on the national championship game day, I remember my legs were like jello. Like it was like we were running in quicksand because you played the most amount of games that you could possibly play in 1 year.
Right.
So this is why.
Well, it's the first year with 64 teams, so you had to go through 6 games.
Yeah. And there are people who say offense wins championships, defense wins championships. I disagree with all of that. Mental toughness wins championships because in that moment when your legs feel like jelly, our minds were literally wheeling us. Like my body felt like I can't take another step.
You just played 2 days earlier.
Yeah. My mind was like, oh, you will get this rebound. Did you see that rebound I posted on Instagram the other day?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, go check my Instagram page. The look on my face versus the look on my opponent's face. Because people commented to me on Facebook, actually. I posted on both social media platforms. And people on Facebook said, did you actually get that rebound? I said, look at her face and look at my face and then tell me who you think
got the rebound. Yeah. Her
face looks like, I hope I could just tip it and get this rebound. My face like, this is my rebound. Like
that's right.
Was growling in that moment.
Right.
Hands on the ball. I was doing a back bend. Like I jumped up. You know how sometimes the ball go over you?
Yeah.
My back was bent back like this. People were like, how come you just didn't dunk that? Like you should just caught it and went like that. Like I had no idea I was jumping that high. But in that moment, our minds were literally wheeling us to grab rebounds, to make shots, to run the floor, sprint and transition defense. Like it was an outer body experience, really, but it was happening from our mind.
Yeah, it's interesting because you usually hear about the individual going through the zone, but you don't hear about the collective zone with the team. I've never heard that before. I mean, it makes sense, right? You're synergistically in alignment with each other. You've been playing together for years. This is the culmination of all the hard work. And then, this is it, no excuses.
Now, the first experience that we had as a team in a team zone was the ACC tournament. So Coach Hatchell gives pregame speech of her life. Like it was so inspiring. I don't know what she said, but I remember I was so deeply moved that, I remember thinking, wow, that was a great pregame speech. So we go charging out of the locker room and we get outside. We line up smallest to tallest because we're getting ready to warm up.
Yep.
We've got 4 players on the team who can dunk. Me, Charlotte, Gwendolyn, and Marion. Gwendolyn Gillingham was 6'6". Marion's not even like 6 feet. Charlotte's barely 6 feet, and I'm 6'5". So we line up, and I'm the captain. I'm counting heads. We got one missing. I'm the mother hen of the group. So I'm like, wait a minute, somebody's missing. I go back in the locker room. It's Marion. She's sitting at her locker. I'm like, baby girl, because she's a freshman. I'm a senior at this time. We have this big sister, little sister program at Carolina still to this day. And Marion was my little sister. If she was late on the bus or late to film, I had to run. I was responsible for her. So I go back and I'm like, baby girl, what's wrong? I say, are you okay? You sick? I'm like, no, like you can't, this is ACC championship. Like you can't be sick today of all days, suck it up, And she's just sitting there, leg is shaking. She's got her head down. And I said, what's wrong? And a tear comes down her eyes. And she said, I just want to win. I was like, holy smoke. She wants to win so bad, like it's hurting her. Like she's crying.
Wow.
She said, I just want to win. Because this is the team that beat us twice.
Yeah, Virginia. Yeah.
And we know that this game is going to determine whether we go all the way or not. It felt like that kind of moment, like a defining moment. And I had never experienced the will to win to that level. Like Marion as a freshman, she led us in terms of like championship mentality. Like she changed our culture, really. So
rare.
Yeah. And at this time, she's an elite athlete. She came as a freshman, as an Olympian, as a 17-year-old kid. Like her mom moved from California with her because she was that big of a deal. And so I sat down next to her and I start crying. So here comes Charlotte. Charlotte Smith runs in the locker room. She's like, what are y'all doing? I was like, we just want to win, dog. She said, oh, dang. She sat down and we're all crying.
Wow.
So finally, we're like, come on, let's get out there. We wipe our tears and we start laughing and we went out on the court.
Wow.
I tell you, I've never jumped this high in my life. In the warm-ups, I was spreading my legs like Michael Jordan dunking.
That's serious?
We were making
But dunking wasn't allowed in layup line back then.
Yes, it was.
Oh, really?
They didn't do regular layups. In a layup, I only did dunks in layups in college. The other team was at half court. They were supposed to be warming up. They were at half court watching us. I was like, oh, we won.
We won.
And then after after we did the dunks and the layups and stuff, then we start shooting jump shots from the elbow, jump shots from everything we threw up went in the warm-ups, to the point where we were like, sit down, don't waste your zone on a warm-up.
Right.
So we stopped our warm-ups early. We were sitting on the bench and Coach House was like, what are y'all doing? Y'all supposed to be out there warming up. We still got a few more minutes. We're like, Coach, we in the zone. We don't want to waste our zone on the warm-ups. We want to save it for the game. She was like, what?
What are y'all talking about?
She thought we were crazy. She thought we were the craziest group she ever coached. But she loved it because good things always happen. So we sat down, and when the anthem came, we stood up, did the anthem. And when the game started, when I tell you, even people off the bench who rarely played came in and scored incredible buckets, contested. Wow. It was an unbelievable experience to have this experience with all of your teammates. And we genuinely didn't care like who scored. We cheered for everybody. Like if you watch our bench, when other people scored, the people on the bench, we'd be going crazy, going over. Like we have been through so much adversity during that year from the coaches, because we were undefeated except for those 2 games. But our coaches started to create adversity. And Coach Hatchell's philosophy was, I'm gonna make you hate me, but you're gonna thank me. That was her philosophy that year. Mm-hmm. So she did a lot of things that we felt like, oh, I can't stand her, but it brought us together.
Give me an example. Like 6 a.m. practice, or like
6 a.m. practices. She was notorious for that, but you only had that if you lost. Now, I mean, we're beating everybody, we're blowing people out. So that wasn't our deal. That was previous years. 6 a.m. practices was our Achilles heel, but not this year. This year, so we had a goal to win the boards. If we won the game but didn't win the boards, we had a sprint for however many we lost on the boards by, win or lose.
That was going to be the next thing I predicted. It had to be one of the statistics like that.
Yeah, because they looked at our stats. Whenever we won the boards, our record of when we won the boards was way greater than when we lost the boards, right? And we had a tendency to win games, but not the boards. So we beat Georgia Tech, but we lost on the boards by 23. They out-rebounded us by.
Oh my God, what?
We had 23 suicides. You can't even say that word now with college basketball, but when I played, they were suicides. They put 4 garbage cans at every corner of the court, because you were guaranteed to throw up at one of those garbage cans and maybe in between. and a towel, and a wet towel by the garbage can. In case you didn't make it, you could just scrub the floor yourself with the wet towel. And so they broke it in increments of 6. So we ran. This wasn't.
And you had to make it by a certain time too, right? It wasn't like just.
These were times. So I think 33
seconds. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For the post players, maybe 30 for the guards. Because now notice you got Marion Jones, who's like fastest woman in the world on your team. Right. So she's brought the bar high in terms of our time.
Speeds, yeah.
Right. Everything is elevated by my senior year. So we ran 6 suicides, and then we did like a shooting drill. 6 suicides, and then we had shell drill. So,
oh my God.
In today's day and age, if you had 6 suicides, first of all, the coach would make you run half of them one day, but that would be the only thing you did in practice that day. We had a full practice, but it was a defensive practice. I'm talking shell drill, transition defense, box out drills. cutthroat, like the toughest drills we had.
Oh my God.
Were on that day, plus 6 suicide, like increments of 6 suicides.
Okay, so what happened in the next game? Sports Deli is sponsored by Moolah Kicks, the first ever female-only brand basketball shoe. You can find them online at moolahkicks.com or at dickssportinggoods.com. And now back to this incredible interview right here in the Sports Deli.
We won the boards by
right.
But we had a thing where we would never let Coach Hatchell see us cry. Now we cried, but she didn't see us cry. That was our thing.
Man.
And that was taught to me by the people before me.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a freshman, I had many days where I was where you go get water at the Gatorade station and my eyes would be starry and they would say, put your head back. They would surround me. They would circle around me like, put your head back. And I put my head back and they'd be like, do not let that tear fall down your face. We never let Coach Hatchell see us cry. Do not give her the satisfaction of knowing she broke you. And it was like, for me, I'm a freshman. I'm like, what? They were like, no. But it was kind of like them against her type of thing. I didn't understand that. I'm a freshman just coming into it. But now that was gone. You know, like when my freshman year, we were last in the ACC. I went from last to first in my 4 years, right? So there was a mentality shift that happened, but there were certain things that we kept. There were certain things that graduated and left and the culture changed, right? But there were also some things that we kept intact. And one of those things were we do not cry in practice. And that just made us mentally tough. It just did. We had a thing where, and this goes on to this day, if there is a jump ball situation, we come out with that ball. I don't care if the referee blow the whistle, you don't stop, you roll, you pull and roll over until you get that ball. And then we hand the ball to the referee with a smile.
I love it.
It's a toughness thing.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. You know, the thing that I just thought of, it's funny. I just talked about this yesterday. We had homecoming for our girls basketball team. We played at UCSD, you know, Heidi's coaching at UCSD, you know, Tara's at Stanford. And so they let us use the gym because our high school is a low income first generation high school and it's associated with UCSD. So we're allowed to use their gym once a year for homecoming. You know, it's a great experience for the girls. They're never going to play college ball. I've had one girl play college ball in 10 years. And so I said this to them yesterday in the locker room with one of our best alumni that's ever played in the program, who helped us win a league championship 2 years ago. It's about the people that came before you, but you're also leaving a legacy for the people that come after you. And so the other thing that I thought about was when I hear you talk for 30 minutes as if it was 1994 all over again. No, but it reminds me that when you do something, no matter what the level of accomplishment is, whatever adversity you've been through, that sisterhood or brotherhood on the boys and men's side is something that nobody can ever take away from you, whether you win a national championship or you're just a part of something bigger than yourself. And I just wanted to say, you know, again, that it's so important to be involved, in my opinion, in team sports growing up, because there's so many life lessons to be learned. And if your story isn't a testament to that, I don't know what is. And thank you so much for sharing just such an amazing journey to winning that national championship. And we hope all of you enjoyed part one of this amazing interview with Sylvia Crawley, and we hope that you enjoy part two right here in the Sports Deli. Oh, I love it. All right, talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. Have a great holiday, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy
holiday. All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sylvia Crawley joining us here in the Sports Deli, where everyone, especially women, deserve a seat at the table. To find out more about the Sports Deli podcast, check us out online at thesportsdelipodcast.com. And remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. And please contact your local politicians for any injustices that you feel like are going on and at the state level. And until next time, remember, it takes a village. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Much love. Peace.